Good. Eh, yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues from the Road Accident Fund, my lords, my ladies from the media. The CEO of the Road Accident Fund, Mr. Collins Letswalo, called this media briefing because of some pertinent topics that appeared in the media yesterday. Before we hand over to Collins, I'd like to present Collins and the executives. On the left, nearest to me, is Mampi Kumalo. Next is Beniz Potgieter. You all know Collins Letswalo. And at the far end is Patu Lukwareni. I'm not going to take any more of your time. This is not my press briefing. Collins, please, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll come there. Thank you. Oh, you want me here? All the mics are here. Okay. No, that's fine. I think, good morning, colleagues. Thank you very much for gracing this media briefing with your presence. I think it's important that South Africans must know what's going on, and I think you guys are the right people to be here to get it, as we say, from the horse's mouth. We got questions, I think, last week, Tuesday, about something that was quite strange. But the journalist concerned is a brother of mine, I must emphasize. But he seems to write negative things about me. I've never got a positive story from Tanduko. The first one was where I was called Mr. Fix-It, pays himself 350%. It was written by the same journalist when I was at Prasa. And it worries one, but I think he's doing his work. But I just think that he needs to investigate a bit more. He says he's an investigative journalist, and I think it's important that he investigates a bit more. He must continue to do his work as an investigative journalist. We support that. But when he's wrong, he must come back and say, I was wrong. In circumstances of this Prasa thing, he never actually came and apologized, nor did he come and say to South Africans, I was wrong. And for me, I find that quite problematic. The use of words is important. When people try to create an atmosphere, of course, they use certain words. The questions we received were talking about preliminary findings of the SIU. Now, what are preliminary findings of the SIU? I think the SIU must answer for itself. What are preliminary findings? Because I know findings or reports of the SIU are for the president. And before that, there can't be any findings, by the way, in any event. So we wait, we work with the SIU. An interesting phenomenon is that it is the previous board of the RAF, together with the management, that decided to write to the then minister to ask for investigations. SIU investigation, to be specific. So the idea that they came here because there was something wrong that needed investigation, and that we are the ones that are in the main being investigated, is a strange one. But I must emphasize, they must investigate without fear, favor, or prejudice, including the things we did, of course. Some of us are unperturbed. I sleep nicely at night. Even if police pass, there's a siren, I sleep nicely. I know there's nothing. Now, this is a rehashed, what is called a rehashed whistleblowers report. And I think it's there stated very clearly. And there are others. I think there are other two. We are waiting for them, because we are not worried. They've gone to the presidential hotline. They went to the public protector. We have given all the information that we have at our disposal. And we continue to work with the SIU as it is. Now, when people are fishing on a fishing expedition, you get camouflage, innuendos, statements that don't necessarily correlate, are unrelated. But those are not the real issues, as it were. And I'm not surprised, by the way. I told you the last time I said in front of you that my contract is coming to an end in August. So we are going to see all these funny things rehashing things of 2021, something that happened in 2020. We are going to see the rehashing of the 2023. I hear that it's a progressive move to make sure that continuously every other week, my name will be in the media for the wrong reasons. No one tells you about the 80% performance over the last 5 years on average. No one. Far above 80%. No one talks about the 36 billion that we have saved this organization over the last 5 years. They just make innuendos and all that. No one tells you that the strategic plan as we set ourselves in 2020, 2025 has been achieved in full. No one will say that because, of course, there is this tendency. But also there's a tendency to use innuendos to attack our predecessors here at the Road Accident Fund. And I'm never going to agree with that. These were professionals. By the way, they were better than us because they also got clean audits throughout. Today, they are treated like ghosts. They don't exist. If you have got a problem, you can't ask them. You must ask them. But I must emphasize that the problem I have with the approach of this article was also that the SIU was never asked questions. It's picking up what SIU said somewhere and then adding it, because I suspect that if you then ask them questions, they might not deliver the narrative that you expect. One issue about us is that I think what is most important is why the leak? Why do people leak? And they're going to say, no, it was not a leak. It's this thing happened 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago when we went to Scopa and before Scopa, by the way, in any event. This issue of the so-called findings, preliminary findings. We don't know what those are. And if there are findings are discussed with the RAF as provided for in the engagement letter we have signed with the SIU. And I think it's important that that must be put to bed. Now, I know what this is about. So it's about me. And I hope that these colleagues of mine, they have suffered a lot because of me. You don't attack them. When you attack people, you call someone a PA who just woke up one day and walked the street of Johannesburg to find an office of her liking. And then suddenly, that office is the one that we required. Go and look for an office. South Africa has got laws. RAF is run quite tightly and it's got its own governance processes that we follow. So I find it quite distasteful that people would leak stuff to try and fit certain narratives. I also doubt that all these leaks are done with the blessing of the leadership of the SIU. Because you would have gone to them and asked them questions and they would have answered you. Of course, you wouldn't go. I did ask them whether they received any questions and they said no, we never received any questions from anyone about this or that. So they never received any questions. Now, let's deal with this thing of this building, right? So I'm going to take you through, I think part of it will be to take you through to the documents, the evidence. Because why I'm saying this about me is because there is this narrative that is being created. A narrative of this arrogant guy who does not listen and does as he wishes. He sends his stooges to do his dirty work. Imagine me saying to someone, just go and look for a building. When you find it, come back and then let's procure that building. Or what kind of a CEO would that be? Okay. They then create this ESCO as an ESCO of stooges. People just don't think. These people are qualified sitting in front of you here. And I will tell you, they don't take nonsense from anyone, including this very CEO. We have robust discussions everywhere. And I must emphasize as well that the board is the same. This board held us to account. We disagree on a lot of issues. We butt heads because they are exercising their fiduciary responsibilities. So this idea of this rogue CEO going amok, controlling everyone, will never stand the test of time because evidence will suggest otherwise. But I'm unperturbed because I knew it was going to come. Now, when you go and take 36 billion away from people, you expect it. It's going to come. Turning around the RAF is not for CCs, and I'm sure that you must ask our predecessors, they will tell you. Because anything you are going to do, as long as it does not benefit lawyers, medical schemes, actuaries, doctors, you are not going to be liked. The previous management and the board was hated for bringing RAPS, the Road Accident Benefit Scheme. Unfortunately, the detractors won because it never saw the light of day, as it were. But we are unperturbed because ours was a mission to assist in the sustainability of the RAF. And by the way, we didn't bring ourselves here. I didn't just wake up one day minding my own business at the Department of Transport as a CFO and walk into this building and say I'm going to be CEO or acting CEO for that matter. No. I was brought here because there was an issue and it had to be resolved. And the idea was that I'm the right person for. I'm sure that the people looked. I asked why I was asked to come here. And there was a reason. And I was given those reasons. And I think you must ask those that appointed me why they decided to appoint me at the time. And of course, if you also want to go further, you must ask those that appointed me to become a full-time CEO what they considered for me to be here. So I didn't bring myself here. I'm undeterred. So I will pursue this thing with a vigor. So these lawyers, they must know I fear not. I sleep nicely at night knowing I've got nothing to fear. Whether it's an SIU investigation, whether it's any form of investigation, by the way. It was a public protector's investigation, whatever. I'm open to that. Let's now get to the facts for the record. Who is this Moana Properties? And how did we get here? What is the difference between a preliminary report and an interim report? You see, when you want to create innuendos, you call a preliminary finding an interim report, because an interim report says there are actually findings that can stand and are continuing, but we are still continuing. There's nothing called an interim report. Neither are there interim findings, right? What are these processes and procedures governing an investigation, and what are the powers and functions of the SIU, and who do they report to? As I said, this thing, my understanding is that they report to the president once they're finalized. And then we must go to the role of the BEC, because very clearly the BEC and the BAC are appointed by me. And there's an idea that when they bring their recommendations to me, I must agree. I must just rubber stamp. I'm not a rubber stamp for the BEC. I'm not the rubber stamp for the BAC. Imagine the headlines if I just allowed a process where some people go evaluate something. Other person gives the same building a 5, another one gives it a 1. Imagine. And I say, no, it's fine. So when I ask what's happened here, people say, we are withdrawing this. Who's me to say don't withdraw it? They withdraw it. It came in front of me in my office. It got looked at, and at the end of the day, the decision was that there are irregularities. Certainly from the scores, people could not explain them and all that. But the reality is that, but this thing had gone to the market 6 times before, since 2013. We were sitting in a building called Marble Towers. Everyone who knows Marble Towers is in Small Street and Von Villa, somewhere there. I went for the first time. You see this building here, you guys have walked into this building. You must go and look at Marble Towers and tell us whether any employee of the RAF deserves to be there when we sit in a building like this in head office. I found it strange. I asked questions. Why are we still in this building? Below the floors that were occupied by RAF and above those floors, it was just lawyers. So lawyers had found themselves in Marble Towers. The aim was to get into a building that we were a single tenant in, and where we would not get claimants being moved around, whether coming out of our offices or doing that, or stealing, or whatever that the case may be, of those claimants. And the way they were misguided, others don't even know. As they get there, they think that that building belongs to RAF, and they ended up in lawyers' offices. We know that. So I'm told this, and I said, let's set up a team, special project. We need to move people out. But at the time, Marble Towers was also having a problem of occupational health and safety. The risk that anything could happen to some of our colleagues that were in that office. That's the first thing that the organized labor here asked me to do, move us out of this building. And of course, we did the work. Now, interesting, Moana Properties, I don't even know them, by the way. I don't know who leads that organization. I know nothing about it. We did work. Earlier on, the Treasury had actually asked us to look at whether there's no public entity that has got space in Johannesburg where we could move, because it had failed more than 5 times. Now, PRASA was approached. They wanted us to do work on their building, do renovations before we moved in. We just did not have the money. Then Transnet was approached. Transnet did not have any suitable building. Then PIC was approached. Then PIC had said to us, go to Moana Properties. They are the people that manage our property portfolio. You must know that PIC manages assets on behalf of the government employee pension fund. So Moana Properties is a property manager managing the assets of PIC that belong to GPF. So we then go there. They say we've got 3 buildings. Those buildings are then assessed for suitability. I'm going to show you here what the criteria is, or was at the time. We then approached the National Treasury. At the time, the office of the Chief Procurement Officer was the one that was allowed for deviation. So you couldn't deviate without them agreeing with you. You give reasons, they then deal with the reasons and all that. And I think it's important that that must be seen in that context. So for an investigative journalist, it was an easy thing to do. Who are you, Moana Properties? Who do you represent? Where is this lease? Then the lease will just come out. The lease will show you who the landlord is. It will say GPF. Then it says Moana represents the landlord. And that's it. I mean, that will put pay. Why do you remove PIC? Because you want to create an atmosphere of this corrupt CEO. Mina, you can accuse me of anything else. Anything. I know that part. There I know. They know. You can accuse me of anything. And then, of course, there is this view of also attacking people in my office. I mean, we have got a person that does special project, and she's being attacked. Firstly, she was a PA with no qualifications. She was never a PA, and they say whatever. You want me? Come here. I'm here. Don't attack people around me. Come. I'm here. So I know that you want me, so come to me. Leave these ones out of it. It's a battle you want to have. I'm ready. I'm battle ready anytime because I think I know what this is about. And of course, you are going to make it about Collins Lizwalo. Anything that happens, it's Collins Lizwalo. Raf loses this, my picture. It is as if Raf does not even have a logo, right? I'm sure that maybe we were supposed to replace this with my pictures on this thing because it would seem like every time anything happens, it's my name on it. And for what good reason, I don't know. But I told you that there is this concerted effort. There is this media company that has been hired. You can go and check them. They are called Humanicate. The next time I'm coming here, I'll give you the name of the person in Humanicate that has been hired to run this campaign, right? So you must know as you meet them that I know about this thing. So it's important that people must understand that and have a context because I know the name of this company that has been hired to do all this work. I told you who they hired. I told you that they are professors. I told you that they are editors in this space. So I'm waiting, as it were. So there's nothing new here. I warned you when it was going to come that it was going to come. I think let's go to the criteria. I think it's important that we look at that criteria that was used, that we took to the National Treasury as well. It's very, very important because there's no one in the state that can just wake up one day like you are going to choose your own house. Even if it was my wife, I wouldn't say go check her house and then I'll come pay for it. I think that would be the most irresponsible thing to do. Because what if she chooses something I can't afford, right? Here, the appointed officials comprising of facilities management, project management, GM special projects, who's in my office as well as an official from SCA, formed a delegation to look at the vacant buildings in the Johannesburg area. A standard criteria to assess the buildings was developed and used for this purpose. The latest SAPOA report was used to benchmark the proposed rates as well as confirming the building grades. 4 buildings were assessed, the outcome reflected below. You can see it. Now, you can see there's Rosebank 112, Oxford Road, Parktown 10 Queen Street, and Parktown 10 Junction Street. You'll see. I think those things are there for themselves. You can see how they were assessed. I don't want to go through this. I'm just showing you. I won't go through the criteria. I think there is probably about 20 areas of that criteria, if not more. Okay. The costs were also then compared. Okay. So you must go to Marble Towers and you must go to our building now, and you must tell me if there's no difference there. And by the way, it's lower in terms of cost per square meter than Marble Towers. And it belongs to the GPF. So it's not a friend of mine. So when they say it, it's like Moana Properties are friends of mine that I just decided to give something to. And that the people who were sent, they just came back and said, we like that building, let's move into it. There's no such a thing. Okay? So we will make this information available. So we will make it available. You'll see our motivation to National Treasury. We'll make those documents available. You must have them. They are government ones, and this the evidence that one would require. Then, of course, there is the application for approval to deviate. We will also make that available. But what is important is this, the advert of 26 January 2013. Let's go there. Yeah, there. I think let's start here. So this is what we tell National Treasury. On the 26th of July 2013, no acceptable tender received. 14 February 2014, 14 November 2014, 12 February 2015, 28 October 2016, 15 January 2016, 16 March 2018. I arrived at the Road Accident Fund on the 9th of September 2019. That's when I arrived here. You see how many times people went out to market and they could not get a suitable building. Now, faced with this, we then go to National Treasury after having gone to a state entity and asked that please help us with the accommodation. By the way, we've done the very same thing. We are occupying what is called Prasa House in Hatfield. In Pretoria, we're now housing what is formerly known as Main Lane Office, which is the Pretoria office of the RAF. They've now moved to what is known as Prasa House in Hatfield. They're at Bernard Street. You can go and check it. We did the very same thing. We went to them again. It's an entity of the state. We do business with the entity of the state. There's no friend of mine there. So now, let's then move to what we then say. We say this thing, but what is important is this. The National Treasury gives us an approval, right? There it is. Next part. The reasons provided are justifiable. National Treasury supports the deviation. Because National Treasury did not just rubber stamp when you go to them. They don't do that. They don't just rubber stamp and say, no, he likes it, let's go. He sent his PA to go and check it, and the PA liked it, so let's approve it. Absolute nonsense. I think, for me, it shows you what people think about us. And for me, that is worrisome. So, in any event, by the way, as I said, the rules are very clear. There are processes. This thing was audited by the AG. It was. Of course, if they have got findings, they will say those are our findings, but there was no findings here. We are audited every time. Now, let's then move to the other allegations. So, peppered. There is this cleaning. I don't even know, as I'm telling you now today, who cleans rough offices. I don't know who provides security to us. And frankly, I'm not interested. In the ordinary course of people doing their work, people will come and say, well, there is this contract that needs extension. We then extend it if there is a need. And most of these contracts anyway fall within the remit of the board. Most of them, including this particular one that we have just finalized. It was a recommendation to the board. You would have thought I approve myself. No. I've got bosses. They take decisions as well. Okay? So it's very strange that so they add security, fleet, Cienza. Most of these contracts, I was not even here when they were entered into. But as I say, the people that were here cannot be found guilty in absentia. You are not going to cast aspersions about my predecessors and say, no, these are men and women. And I'm telling you now, they got clean audits for this. All this were audited. I was not there, but they got clean audit for this. Clean audit doesn't just come easily. So people must not make this thing about this and then cast aspersions about people that are here. I'm saying this because I know one day when I've left, people will be saying things about me. In this place, you hardly ever get support, by the way. You get criticism, even from the most ignorant people about things. So people say things they know very little about, and then they make noise as if they actually know much. And then they are right, you are always wrong. You are guilty until proven innocent. It's not the other way around. And I think it's wrong that things matter. So I'm not going to go much into those things. They were just peppered right there. But I think it's time to put paid to this idea. And then you see it at the end of the article, right? It says, Letswalo's accounting policy, unilateral. Huh. So I'm like, the RAF's accounting policy, unilateral. So I need to put paid to this thing, we may disagree, and we disagree, by the way, with the approach of the AGSA. And I always say we work with them very closely. We disagree, and we disagree because we are also professionals in our own right. We are professionals in our own right. But I think I want to take you through this unilateralism. It's going to be very important because, you see, I'm tired of people saying things that cannot be substantiated by facts. We are the only institution that has been consistent in our approach. And before we arrived at conclusions, we asked for guidance. We did. And I'm going to show you today, once and for all, that we did ask for guidance. From the standard setter, we engaged the National Treasury. Actually, we started with the AGSA itself when we started this whole process of changing the accounting policy. So it's not a unilateral Collins Litswalo accounting policy. I don't own accounting policies, by the way. So it's the accounting policy of the RAF as approved by the RAF board, who's the accounting authority of the RAF. So let's go to this. And don't insult Bernice, right? Bernice is sitting on my left. Don't insult her. She's a CA, fully fledged, very brilliant CFO. I didn't come with Bernice, luckily. I found her here. So if I hired her, they would be saying, no, maybe you're a PA, Bernice, I don't know. But I found her here. And under her is a lot of CAs. Trained by the big five, most of them, by the way. Chartered accountants, CAs. So you don't come to Bernice when you don't know what you are talking about. You will find it very difficult to explain yourself. So I want us to go through this, and people don't ask these questions, and I certainly hope that South Africans will start asking themselves these questions as we move forward. We arrive here, we are told that there is a 320 billion liability. But some financial management company that I won't today name, which I will name in due course, came to me and said, look, we can take this liability off your hands. And I said, what do you mean? They said, give us 250 billion. We will then expunge this liability for you. Because anyway, RAPS is coming, so give it to us. And my question was, so you, public sector, what are your shareholders saying? You are giving us 70 billion. Remember, this thing is 320 billion. Someone says, give me 250, I will take care of it for you. Why would private sector want to suddenly give us 70 billion? So that's what made me wonder, what is going on here? One day I will name them, by the way. But for purposes of today, it made me think that this is the thing. But in any event, what our executive authority had said to us is that look at this liability, because it was said to be the second biggest liability after Eskom. And they said, look at it, and then tell us what you think and what must be done, because we can't have this continued liability. Now, we then go to the AGSA. We say, why are we accounting for this? We realize that we are using, we used a standard for insurance contracts. IFRIS 4 for this. And we then said, look, you tell us why we are still using this. They then said, no. The ASB, go to the ASB. We then agreed it was 1920 that let's leave it in the next financial year, we are going to do it. And then in the next financial year, indeed, in January, I think it was of 21? We then went there and met, we wrote a letter to the ASB, an email, then they then said, let's meet. We met with the ASB. The contents of that are in a letter that we are going to give you, which is the 1st of February, that is written by the ASB. And we then proceeded, on the basis of what the ASB told us, we then proceeded to change our accounting policy. In the process of the changes, by the way, we went to an internationally acclaimed accounting firm to review and look at the work that we were doing, whether we were right. In fact, that accounting firm came and said, you are correct. Then we changed the accounting policy. Then the AG then came up with a finding, a preliminary finding. I didn't say interim, you heard me, preliminary finding. So we then had a discussion and disagreement. And then once we got a disagreement, we then went back because there was an interpretation of the letter of the 1st of February. And I think it's important to look at it there. Let's go down. Yes, there it is. You see the 1st of February letter is this one. You must see the first part. The correspondence was sent on a number of entities. The letter was not authoritative. We'll share this with you. And then it says that, no, just keep it there because I want to go to the part that says that the accounting policies applied by RAF would have been determined by management based on that orange part, on what they believed is appropriate given the prescripts of legislation, relevant facts and circumstances. So Collins Lizwell did not just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and change the accounting policy. There's a processes. But also it says management determine this based on what they believed. He didn't say what others believe. He said management. Now, we'll go further. No, the last one. Leave it there. Leave it there. There is the last part where it's highlighted. I think it's important. The board has a stated policy of converging with international public sector accounting standards, which is consistent with ASB's mandate and strategic objectives. So when they are going to tell you about IPSAS, that's the one. IPSAS 42. We will get to that. Let's go to the next slide. Way forward. Arrangements are accounted for using the principles in the standard of GRAP. In the absence of a specific standard, management develops. Management is us. Policies based on standards that deal with similar issues of the conceptual framework. Now, here's the most important part. Any changes in accounting policy should be made using principles of GRAP 3. Now, we're going to show you what the National Treasury says about that GRAP 3. And of course, a standard provides overarching principle for types of transaction rather than the specific entities. Now, let's go. This is just the ASB handbook that is clear about standards of GRAP, what is the mandate, what are directives, what is authoritative, what is not. Let's pass that. As well, the issue around the handbook, directives. Let's go to the next one. Here is the important part. Now, we are told that I just decided on my own. There is the guideline. We'll share this guideline of the National Treasury. Direct 5 provides guidance on which standards to apply. Where no guidance is available, a very strict hierarchy must be followed to determine the specific accounting policy. While considering above key principles, the following hierarchy is used to determine which standard or guide to follow. Requirements of the standards of GRAP. We are going to show you that there is no standard of GRAP for social benefits. Secondly, the framework for preparation and presentation of financial statements. 3, pronouncements of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, IPSAS, B. Now, the fourth one is the International Accounting Standards Board. That is, if you don't find anything in IPSAS, B. Now, we'll go to the next slide. Give us the next slide. There it is. We then have decided, by the way, then there is issues with the AG. We write again to the ASB. Look at what we are saying. Request for guidance in terms of the change in accounting policy implemented. So the idea that we just decided, and even when people said we differ with you, we said to hell with them and then proceeded, can't be correct. It's not supported by facts. We went back to the ASB. Now let's look at what the ASB then says to us. What we are asking. The letter, we are talking about the letter of the first. No, just keep to the letter. No, go back. Go back. The next one. Next one. No. Now where are you going? The next one. The next one. Yeah, this one, step B. The letter did not prohibit the accounting policy. You were very clear that the change in accounting policy is management's responsibility. However, you advise that any change should be the requirements of GRAP 3, paragraph 13. Then the letter did not conclude on IPSAS 42 is in conflict with the conceptual framework and cannot be used. Then we say the letter did not indicate that when applying paragraph 16 and 17 of the GRAP issued by the ASB, IPSAS 42 is disqualified from being used to formulate relevant accounting policy. That the ASB does not prescribe the application of IFRS 4 to all social benefits. It's us asking for guidance from the Accounting Standards Board. Now, next slide. Then we say, upon the review of 2021, this is what the AG did. Then we say it is apparent that the findings that they still stood by the view that ASB's letter was authoritative. So they disagree with us. We go back to the person that says you can do this. And then we then write to them back to say, this letter of yours is still not clear. Let's go. Therefore, your guidance in the above matters will be appreciated in order to resolve the dispute between RAF management and AGSA. We ask for guidance. Let's see the response. There is the response. Response to request for guidance. Change in accounting policy. Okay? The Secretariat does not mediate between dispute and all that. In terms of their mandate, they don't provide technical opinions. Let's go to the next one. Directive 5. As there is no standard for GRAP at present, and recognizing that entities adopted specific accounting policy into our previous correspondent emphasized the change in accounting policy should provide more relevant and more reliable information. In the absence of standard of GRAP, entities formulate their own accounting policies using GRAP 3. This means that the principles, definition, and the existing standard dealing with similar issues should be used first before reverting to conceptual framework or pronouncements of other standard setters. Let's go to the next one. Adoptions of standards. entities may not adopt. In the absence of standard of graph, an accounting policy may be formulated using the standards of another international and national standard setter. Adoption of standard means full compliance. It is there, you are therefore unsure because we said to them that we are adopting this standard instead of saying we are going to use it to determine our accounting policy. Next slide. Insurance versus social benefits. They then explain that. And they say a key consideration deciding whether the principle of pronouncement of standard setters could be considered in formulating the accounting policy for transaction circumstances for event is understand whether the underlying transaction circumstances or events are the same. Then they say IPSAS 42 social benefit as follows. Then the most important part is that second last highlighted point. For IPSAS 42 to be relevant to the development of RAF's accounting policy, the benefits provided by the RAF should be consistent with the definition of the social benefit. The assessment of whether the benefits provided by RAF are consistent with this definition should be done at each of the benefits provided. Nowhere do they say you can use it. Now they say, from the annual report of 1920, we note that there is several benefits which are provided by the RAF, and each of these would need to be assessed to determine if they are consistent with the definition of IPSAS 42. So they tell us how to apply it. Today we are the only ones that just decided on our own, and I think that is wrong at every level. Next slide. Now, the rationale for discontinuation. This standard of IFRS 4, by the way, it has been discontinued since the 31st of December 2022. From the 1st of January 2023, it has been superseded by IFRS 17. So anyone who says go back to IFRS 4 must know that the standard no longer exists. And there is a rationale that is given by the standard setter. The standard setter puts all these things, lack of comparability. Okay? Then they list all those things. We'll give you this. Next slide. Little transparency or useful information. This is IFRS 4. For its own, what they call insurance contracts. We don't have any at RAF. By the way, at RAF, people must get this. The person that pays the fuel levy of R2.18 is not the beneficiary. It's not the beneficiary. We must repeat that all the time. The driver, who is the driver at fault, is the one that pays that R2.18. And instead of suing that person, you then sue the RAF for it. And so you must understand that context. So that's why you'll find that a passenger would pay, because they don't buy fuel. Where do they buy fuel? For what would they buy it? So it must be understood in that context. Next slide. Yeah, that's this one. You see, there is a rationale for financial statements. And the ASB itself says when preparing financial statements, it is often easy to focus on complying with requirements of standard to receive a positive audit outcome and forget about why we prepare them. The information in the financial statement is not prepared for auditors. The auditors express an opinion on whether the financial statement fairly present the financial position, performance, and cash flow of an entity. The auditors are not users of the information in the financial statements. It is the ASB that says that, it's not us. So people, when we say that, people then fight with that. You can see that they explain why you actually prepare financials. I think that becomes important, because we are often asked, but what if you get this adverse opinion? Well, if we believe that we have presented this thing in line with the GRAP 3, the guidelines and everything. We have done the right thing. That the AG differs with us cannot then trounce these principles. Next slide. Now, we can go to the classification of the RAF. I think it's important that we deal with this classification once and for all. We are giving you the rationale of why we are saying we are a social benefit. You will see it, will give you all this for you to apply yourself to it. Next slide. You can see Public Sector Classifications Committee. No one calls them, asks them, why even after a review you did, you still come with the conclusion that RAF is a social benefit. It's there. We'll give it to you. This work that was done by the accounting, the classifications committee, they drafted this report called the Road Accident Fund Classification Guide. In their conclusion, they say RAF should remain a social benefit. It is not us. At least we are not part of. But they conclude. And then we can give you directives of the FSB and all that. Let's go to the next slide. We are showing you here that even the ASB considers us, or at least the benefits that we have. And in their assessment, look at what they say. 2nd of September 2021. Next slide. This is what is also important in the technical report. The technical committee recommended using general approach of IPSAS 42, but modifying it to meet local needs. There is no IFRI standard or public sector standard in other jurisdictions that provide guidance on accounting for social benefits. So you must remember that IFRIS 4 is an IFRI standard. But let's go to the next slide. This is one of the most important aspects of the assessment that is done by the ASB. You see, NTT's Road Accident Fund, they also assessed Unemployment Insurance Fund, the Department of Social Development, and what is important is the social benefits criteria they use on the right, which is cash, cash or in-kind, specific individual household, based on eligibility, deals with social risk, and then of course, does it apply to society as a whole? Those are principles of social benefits. And then they tick them and correct them in that. And in their involvement in the project, they say reviewed, and they say engagement held, keep involved in the project because we are a social benefit. But I'm just showing you that it's important that when we look at these things, people just don't say things. It is his accounting policy. They never consulted anyone. They never spoke to anyone. They can't be guided. Nothing supports this thing. And what is strange, okay? So you are going to say we are an insurer. Ours is simple. If you think we are an insurer, show us where. Where is it said? I've given you evidence. Anyone who says RAF is an insurer, you say, show me. I've shown you. I will share this. And of course, at the end of the day, it's about this specific transaction, whether it is an insurance contract or whether it's a social benefit. So we may be a social benefit, but provide an insurance contract. We don't at RAF. There is nothing that we have that seeks to be insurance. So, and of course, there is this thing about the cyber attack. I think I must also address it. They say the cyber attack came and there is no evidence. Firstly, my understanding is that the bids that you send at the RAF are usually manual. meaning it's paper. So I don't know how a cyber attack attacks a paper. So it is for me a strange phenomenon, okay? So a cyber attacker taking a paper, but in any event, I told you, the AG audits. So they must have working papers. So they work when things got working papers. They then receive these documents, they go through them themselves. So if you can't find it from there, find it from, if you can't find it from us, find it from them. In any event. So I don't think that there is any cyber attack that can hit a paper. So we are paper-based, we have been paper-based for a while now, okay? So there is no unilateral accounting policy of Collins Litwal that he did unilaterally, there's no such a thing. And there is no cyber attack that can attack a paper. So very clearly that does not exist on its own. We'll give you that information if it's required. And so the idea that we must just sit back and abandon our professional duty to serve the RAF with all we have, it's wrong. The idea that we are this corrupt people and people just pepper it, you know, you're peppering stuff. We'll wait, we'll deal with these things. This thing is not even about the SIU. We know it's not about the SIU. They want to use them as a smoking gun, they're not getting it. There is no smoking gun here. So we are clear about it. Lastly, there is a journalist that asked a question. Who does the RAF listen to? There's a journalist. It's shocking that he's not here today. Usually he's here. So he asks. And he started being interested in us when we started dealing with the discovery matter. Before then, he never wrote anything about us. Who do we listen to? The law. South Africa is a country of laws and regulations. No person is just going to walk into the RAF and say, do this, and we do it. It's not the law. When you come to us, you are a claimant. There is the RAF Act. You must follow it and its regulations. There is a constitution. We do that at all material times. So this idea that we are these people that just don't listen, and I don't even know where it comes from. We read the law every day. We have got people here that will tell you, I mean, Berlin's tomorrow, if she does something wrong, she might lose her qualification as a CA. You think she wants to worry about that? She's still young, a long way to go. For her, it's important that she exercise a professional duty. So people must stop giving ideas about things they know very little about. Some of us, that's why we're advised by people like Bernice. So because she understands accounting, she went to school for it, right? She went to school for it. It's important that people must respect other people's professional integrity and status. So we are quite comfortable that we are led properly in that area. We are quite comfortable that our SCM people know what they are doing. Majority of them I don't even know, by the way, except Nokwas. I don't think I've met any other person in supply chain so far. I don't even go there for obvious reasons. That once you go there, people will be saying, hey, he was here. Maybe you are looking for something. No, I'm not interested in that. So the reality is we are here. We expect attacks. They will come. But we are undeterred. We still remain so resolute that these lawyers, these doctors that have been defrauding the RAF for a very long time, we will make sure that we fight to the bitter end. no matter what. We are undeterred. We are not worried about that. So people will make allegations. We'll deal with those allegations. I thought it's important that we call this press conference to clarify. I did not want some 5-minute in some show where someone is going to speak for 4 minutes and I'm going to be given 1 minute to respond. And then they will be interrupting me. So I wanted to be clear about this thing. So we are clear, we are solid, we are resolute. Whether past August I'm here or not is immaterial. I've got a very competent team here that works very hard every day. I doubt they rest. So it's important that we respect them as we respect you guys in doing your work. But the fourth estate must disabuse themselves of the notion of people that masquerade as whistleblowers when they are not. This particular so-called dossier comes from a person that was charged with sexual harassment here and left. That's a fact. So we remain with the resolve that when we have got pests around us, we'll take care of them. When we have got people that are corrupt, we'll take care of them. There's no question about it. We remain resolute that we will do what is in the best interest of the RAF, whatever it takes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Collins. Collins and the executives, we have a full house. We have 9 media companies in physical attendance. And we also have, I believe, 11 that are joining us virtually. The ones that told us that they were going to attend. I'm sure we've got more. The ones that didn't tell us that they were joining us virtually. My ladies and my lords, this is the opportunity to now ask questions. Please start by telling us which media company you come from and then ask your question. We're ready to start. Sir, is your hand up?
Oh, thank you. I'm Hawala Maulego from UFM. Mr. CEO, beyond August, do you plan on coming back? And if yes, how do you fancy your chances? And regarding the onslaught that you say you are subjected to, have you had any support from the authority that oversees the activities of the RAF, the government through the roads and transport department, I would assume? Have you received any support? And ideally, how should the executive be supporting an agency like the RAF and its leadership? Thank you.
A very good morning, everyone. My name is Sini Sipo, legal reporter for Business Day. CEO, it was quite a long briefing, so I'm not sure if you addressed this one. You say that you have evidence that the RAF followed all legal requirements in this lease that is now in the spotlight, and that you have the evidence to back this up. Firstly, has the SIU briefed the RAF on the preliminary findings that they have? And if so, has RAF advanced this evidence to them in contesting some of their findings there? And second, you called this press briefing at quite an important time when RAF is dealing with a lot of matters. There is the litigation in the High Court in Pretoria involving RAF and the SARS. There is still a pending or not yet instituted legal review of the diesel. I'm not sure if RAF has taken a decision whether or not you are going ahead with the main legal application. since the interim application is being challenged right now. And also there is that judgment that was delivered sort of instructing the RAF to pay claimants. And in your legal papers, you did contend that about thousands of people have been affected by the 5.1 billion, that which you are in a battle with SARS. So can you give us a brief to those claimants as to what is happening right now since the legal contestation with SARS is ongoing? Thank you.
Okay. Theodore Mashele from ENCA. Throughout the briefing, I think, Mr. Letswalo, you've showed how you've had a back and forth with a couple of regulatory bodies, for lack of a better term, when I use that. Obviously, in the allegations, also saying you've overturned the bid committee's decision. That's what the allegations are saying. So with that said, and with the notion that you say is being driven in the media that the road accident fund doesn't listen to anybody, what is the function of your bid committees, and what is the function of all these regulatory bodies if the road accident funds then just follows the constitution and, you know, does not necessarily take advice from these bodies? Thank you.
All right. It doesn't look like we have anyone else at the moment. Do we have somebody virtually? Not yet. Okay.
Do you rather not want us to take this first? And
Yes, and then because, there's quite a number of questions. Let's take it first.
sure. Let me start with Theodore. I think it's important that you understand the rationale of presenting all these things we are presenting to you. The article said there is a unilateral accounting policy. I've shown you that we went through guidance. I don't know to put it much more better, how would I put it? Because I think we went to get guidance because we understood the role and responsibility of each regulatory body. It must be very clear that is the case. But bid evaluation and adjudication committees are not regulatory bodies. They act on the basis of being given delegations. By the way, they're appointed by me. So there is nothing, and if something has gone wrong, we tell them as part of our standard operating procedure. If the approving authority, it's like us, we go to the board, we say recommend. The board doesn't rubber stamp. It can go and say check this and that and then come back. And we can, if they say come back or we reject this thing, we can't say they have overruled us. It's their job to approve. It is also their job to apply their minds and the fiduciary responsibility that comes to them. So it's a strange phenomenon that when you then say, well, this did not go well. I mean, I would imagine that those are part of the things that the AG looks at when they audit. They check whether you've got a policy, whether you've got standard operating procedures, whether those were followed under the circumstances. And I would imagine that in applying their minds, the office of the CPO said the reasons are justifiable. It must mean something. So we went to them. So that's why I'm saying the idea, but also the Constitution is supreme. It reigns supreme, the supreme law of the country. So anyone who tries to instruct us but goes against the constitution will also favor the constitution. I think it's important that it must be understood in that context. So, and that's why I'm saying, people say, who do we listen to? Everyone. That's why we have gone to get guidelines. We have shown you guidelines from the ASB. We have shown you guidelines from the National Treasury. We have shown you what we have done when we disagreed with the AG. We went to the ASB, please intervene. So that is very, very clear. And as I say, those things are dealt with. Then evidence that must be, of course, I mean, we didn't get that from the SIU. We didn't get any of these preliminary findings. As I say, in our view, most of them, the way they are even briefed, they are a leak coming from somewhere. It can't be us because we don't have that document. But we are, as I said, we are unperturbed by it. We are very clear that we followed the law as we know it, and we followed all necessary prescripts as it were. There is no issue here. We'll give that evidence, we'll follow everything. And by the way, I think it was last week where our accounts, I think our personal bank accounts were being requested. We must give, we will. We'll give our personal bank accounts. We don't have anything to hide. We may not agree, our lawyers might tell us no, but we'll do that. As long as they won't be leaked. So what is the point when something gets leaked? We put it in that leak, then it goes throughout, then people know who I'm spending my money on. You know, I don't want that. But certainly I'll cooperate. We have been cooperating. As I said, we are the ones that said, SIU, please join us. There are certain things we can't do. So your forensic report goes to a certain level. There are certain things that can only be done by a special investigating unit, and therefore we are comfortable. We have worked very well with the SIU. People don't talk about the 1.2 billion we collected from 284 law firms. They won't talk about that. Together with SIU, we collected 1.2 billion of duplicate payments. They want to hide it. No, we are clear about that, and we want action taken against those 102 recalcitrant ones. Okay, so there is an issue around SARS and RAF. The matter is sub judice. But yes, we are proceeding. We are proceeding with the main application. We are proceeding with the main application because everything that is done in South Africa is done in terms of the law. And we are saying whatever diesel rebate, whatever deduction, whatever you want to call it, whether it's a refund to somebody, must be done in terms of the law. And those are in our papers. I think if people are interested in that, go and look at our papers. Right, so let's try to do that. Well, what are the issues about? Of course, I mean, the claimants are going to suffer because we can't take our own money and pay, even if we wanted. We don't have 5.1 billion. We don't have it. And that's the reality. The reality is that we are struggling. We have been insolvent at least since technically insolvent, at least since 1981. I think I was 4 turning 5 that year because that's when I started school. In 1986, this thing collapsed in the hands of the private sector. So they must never give you a sense that, no, we can run this thing. It collapsed in their hands in 1986. For 3 years, for 3 months, South Africa did not have third-party compensation scheme. Then the decision was taken that it will then be managed by the private sector, but it will be paid through no longer stickers, people buying stickers, but you'll pay at the fuel pump. By 1992, there was another commission. There are 7 commissions of inquiry checking the sustainability of the RAF. The first one being in 1948. So people must not make this about us. We didn't just arrive here. That's what I'm saying. So it must be understood in that context. And as I said, when we came here, we are here to solve a problem, which is still an issue. We never said that it's finalized. The sustainability of the RAF is still something that we are all working on. And we will pay those claimants when we get the money. People don't ask this question. There is a judgment that said SARS must not take that money. They've taken it. Imagine if it was Collins Lizwalo who just decided to go against the court order, or RAF for that matter. Who do they listen to? Yeah. So it's this thing of being fascinated with certain people. And there is no principle here. Because the principle must go, but SARS, how did you deduct money when the judge said you shouldn't? Gave two orders. One of the 14th of March, another one of the 26th of March. They still took the money. Then there is another issue. We have issued, by the way, a contempt of court application that is going to be heard tomorrow against SARS. No one is saying anything. Okay, that's why I'm saying at times you get more criticism than support. Where is the support? Where is this fourth estate? So people must suffer because people do not adhere to the court orders. If it's us, we are even blamed for people going to court and then we defending the matter. You shouldn't go. Okay? You are clogging the courts. We get that every other time about us clogging the courts, even when it's not true. Okay? So it's something that it's, as I say, a matter that is in front of the courts. Indeed, we do the main application. We believe very strongly that we're entitled to that money and no one must take it away. Legally, people can do the work, but we think that this is unlawful, and that's why we took it to court. So how well? You say beyond August, you have a sense of coming back. Absolutely. I am. It's up to the powers that be to approve that as it were, but I'm ready for another term. So I have no intention of going anywhere, not yet, at least. What are your chances? Very high. I've just told you, 36 billion savings. Hey, I want to see any CEO say South Africa 36 billion. 80% performance, achieved all targets and objectives for our strat plan over the last 5 years. Okay, as born. So I'm clear about that. So do I think I've got, of course. Is it anytime? Contest anytime. I've got rights, of course, but the reality is that I'm intending to follow up, depending on, the next, I'm intending for a second term here at the RAF. I think the work still needs to be done, and I don't think that there's anything. People are afraid of me not coming. They say, he must not come back. Hey, I know you're going to work very hard. I don't know what you're going to do because I'm interested in the next term. So, do we receive the support from the shareholder? Of course we do. I don't know why people think that we would not have. As I said, I was sent here by the shareholder. I used to work for the shareholder. They said, go there. Of course we do. Is it what you would wish for? Well, it's like having a parent out there. You sometimes feel unloved, sometimes you feel loved, depending on which side of the parent you are. So we are many in there. I think, how many are we now? 14. I think we are 14 entities in the Department of Transport. Imagine a mother with 14 children. Sometimes you feel neglected, sometimes you feel like you are taken care of. So it's neither here nor there. We understand the duties that our principals have, and we are quite comfortable that they've given us the necessary support. You will see they've presented our strat plan for 25-2030. It's there. You must look at the forward. It's there. Look at the forward. It's just 2 pages. I'm sure that even if you are ladies to read, you can read it. Minister has put there what must be done. We are quite comfortable with that. Yeah, that's the support we want, and that's the support we are getting, fortunately. So we are quite comfortable with what the DOT is giving us. We don't have any views that suggest that they are not supportive at all. Mac?
Thanks, Collins. We have quite detailed questions from 2 folks virtually. Tim Cohen, what are the current rental costs of the Johannesburg office and head office? And what is the staff complement of each? Why were all the members of the BEC subsequently fired? You said the BEC chair was charged with sexual harassment and left. Isn't it true that he was fired and the case of sexual harassment was not proved? That's the first question.
Can I get that again? Rental costs?
Rental costs for both Johannesburg and head office.
So the BEC chair of which
You just say you said the BEC chair was charged with sexual harassment.
Oh.
That's the whistleblower that we talked.
was he a BEC chair?
That, well, I think there's a
Okay.
yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
That's the first question. So the second question he has is the Deputy Minister of Transport, Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, has welcomed the Supreme Court of Appeal judgment declining to hear an appeal by the RAF regarding the accounting standards to be used in audit processes. But you spoke at length about the decision to apply the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, IPSAS 42. Are you still refusing to apply GRAP? That's the question, basically, in a nutshell.
Refusing to apply GRAP?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he takes liberties to ask a third question, which I'll give to you now. The preliminary findings of the SIU claims or allege that the RAF cancelled the panel of attorneys without a backup plan in place to service the claims. Have you reversed the decision to cancel the panel? That's the last question.
Reverse the decision to cancel the panel?
The panel of attorneys.
To cancel?
To cancel, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are the 3 questions from him. I think let's deal with those.
All right,
and then we'll go to another
right.
another journalist.
Yeah.
Right?
Let me preface this thing of Tim by saying the following. I think I've written a response to Tim Cohen, and I think he still has not apologized for insulting me. He wrote a letter to the minister and he says, WTF. And says disparaging things about me and all that. And he said he's going to sue me. I'm waiting for that. He must sue me. I'm waiting. That must be beside the point. And I think Tim likes asking questions that, for me, are pretty straightforward, that I sometimes ask myself whether I should answer. But today I'm going to answer Tim. I'm going to answer Tim so that he must not think I'm hiding from answering questions from him. I still stand by the response I gave to him and how I feel about the bullying and all that happened. Now, I don't know that that person was a BEC chair. Which BEC is that? The person that did the work of the building we are talking about, they are there. They are still here at RAF, so they were not fired by anyone. The sexual harassment charges did not stand. I'm not so sure they didn't stand. I don't know what that would mean. They didn't stand. It would help that people, when they are taken through disciplinary processes, they attend them and not come with stories about all that. He has gone to the PP. He has made all those allegations. They are there. So it looks like he told him that he's the BEC chair. I was also not aware that he was a BEC chair, of what I have no idea. Okay, so he was charged. Of course he was charged. He was fired, indeed he was. And he knows the right processes to follow. The CCMA, there's labor court, you follow all those processes. In South Africa here, we've got laws. Are you still refusing to apply GRAP? You see, Tim, I don't like educating people, but I think it's most important that when you look at what we have given you here, you understand what GRAP is. Because very clearly you don't understand GRAP. GRAP is generally recognized accounting practice. These things are issued by the ASB. I've been giving you this thing, GRAP 3. I even gave this time, I gave you the guideline from National Treasury talking about GRAP 3. Go to our financials, check. We are preparing our financials in terms of GRAP. So how do I refuse to apply GRAP 3? I have no idea where you are getting that idea from, that we have refused to apply GRAP 3. We will apply GRAP 3. We have done so, we continue to do so. Our preparations of our financials is done in terms of GRAP as a framework. Let me deal with this issue of the of the panel and say the following. Firstly, get your facts right, team. We did not cancel any panel. I think you must get your facts right. There was never a panel cancelled at the RAF. A panel contract came to an end by a fraction of time, and we did not renew it. Very strange that when we renew other contracts, there's a problem. When we decide not to renew, then there's also a problem. So it depends where you sit. Okay, and let's get to this. So let's not pick what we want to take from the Constitutional Court or the highest court in the land. This matter of rationality test, if I understand it very well, it's a legal concept. When people review, they say the issue of rationality, and Mabunda versus with the RAF was exactly that. Did this board and this management, in one, cancelling the tender that was out for the new panel and not renewing the other one and doing away with the legal panel, rational? So those were the questions that were asked, and they are saying that they are not rational, and therefore go and check the Davis judgment. Of course, you must go and look at the Yus Madondo judgment and then get to the judgment of Colapen 18-4 application. Read that. And then go and read the SCA judgment on the same matter. And then, of course, go, I think it was Diale Morashwa that also took it to the Constitutional Court. Go and read the finding. It is not for people to tell us. Rationality test has been tested. It has gone to the highest court in the land. I doubt the SIU has powers to overrule the Constitutional Court. I doubt it. So those are facts about the panel. What is the backup plan? The panel is not coming back. People must disabuse themselves of the idea of it coming back. It's not. That is how we saved 24 billion in 5 years. People forget the idea. There's 24 billion that we saved. In 5 years comes from this thing of not following up with this panel and doing away with the panel. So, are we still happy with that decision? Absolutely. We are very happy with that decision. Was it rational? Of course. If that saves you 24 billion, about 6 billion a year, ooh, that's a lot, right? So we are quite comfortable. Are we happy with the model as it sits? No. But it's still better than the panel. It's still better than the panel. So we are working with the judiciary about how we deal with this thing. Absolutely. We also support the judiciary's view of making compulsory mediation. We support them 120%. Because 95% of all rough matters end up with a settlement anyway. So imagine something costing you 10.6 billion and 99% of it is through settlement. Why do you need the court for it? Why do you detain the court on matters that should be easily been settled? Go look at the rough amendment bill. You will see that we are calling there for the rough adjudicate to take these things away from the court. And we are quite comfortable that that's the direction we want to go, because we want to solve the problems of South Africans. This thing must end where the state says, sue me to get your benefits. This rough thing does not make sense at all. But we know why it was there in 1942. It was meant to resolve a certain problem. Do we still have that problem? I doubt it. So there is no backup plan because we are reversing no decision whatsoever. Our rationality, this thing has been tested rationally, and it has been found that we are rational. Read the SCA report in overturning Judge Madondo's, Yus Madondo's ruling of the North Gauteng High Court. So we are quite comfortable that what we have done is right and we'll continue doing it. Mac?
Please bear with me on the next one. It's Roy Corkane of MoneyWeb. He's also taken some liberties with his questions.
Okay, Roy.
Yes. This media briefing was called to deal with media reports about the preliminary findings of the SIU into the RAF Johannesburg building lease process. But CEO Collins Letsoala spent a lot of time dealing with the dispute about the accounting standards used by the RAF. Why focus on the accounting standards again, particularly as the Deputy Minister of Transport, Mkhuleko Hlengwa, representing the shareholder, told Mr. Letsoala during a recent Scopa meeting that it has been made abundantly clear that the RAF must stop litigation against the Auditor General, and the DOT's position is that the RAF must engage the ASB on the development of an applicable accounting standard for the RAF, and suggesting it must change its accountancy only once an applicable accounting standard have been developed. So why do you spend so much time when essentially he says the shareholder has said we must stop litigating? Number two.
Oh, this is number two.
He took liberties, as I said.
Yes.
Mr. Letsoala also focused on media reports but ignored and failed to comment on the preliminary findings of the SIU. Why? He asks. Number three, Has Mr. Letswalo provided his full assistance to the SIU with its investigation, including providing the SIU promptly with all the documents it requests? And the last one, the fourth question. Why did Mr. Letswalo overturn the decision of the Bid Evaluation Committee? And why was this not referred to the RAO's board for a decision? That's the last question.
Okay. So Roy, there's one thing you're never gonna get is pit me against the DM. You'll never win. So you think you are going to hook me into agreeing to go on a public spat with the DM. I'm not gonna do that. I will never do it. I respect that office and the person that holds it, and I'll continue to do so. But I'm sure that he also respects my position that I have and what I do and what I'm expected to do. So you're never gonna pit me against him. Go ask him the questions of whatever you want to ask him. I'm not interested. Those decisions must be left in the capable hands of the people that deal with those issues. Why did I spend a lot of time on this? Because someone said it's Collins Letswalo's accounting, unilateral accounting policy. It's written there. If you read the document, that is, it's very clear. And I explained why I've gone to town on it. So why you would want to rehash that, I don't know if you didn't hear me or you hope I'll say something that you'll then put as a headline. And you say, who did we listen to? Who do we listen to? The law, we have told you. I've presented everything here. You didn't look at it. What the ASB says, you just did not look at it. What the guideline of the National Treasury is, you didn't look at it. Then you ask this question. You seem to be interested in other things that we are not interested in. But anyway, let me go to the next question. You focused the comment on what? Preliminary findings. You didn't answer them. I don't have to. I have answered the one about the building because it's what it was written about. Letswalo in hot water. Wouldn't you wish for that, isn't it? Yeah, it's wishful thinking. What hot water? There's no hot water here. Have you fully assisted SIU? I've just told you, we collected together 1.2 billion. We work with SIU very closely. And that's why I'm saying there's no way in which any leaks that people make and all that would have been with the blessing of the SIU leadership. We work with them every day. We ask for them to come here. So there's no question about it. I've just said to you, they have just asked us for our bank accounts. And I said we'll make them available. Long as they give us the assurance that they won't be leaked, we'll make them available. I've said that. So if that is not working with SIU and giving them the full assistance they require, I don't know what that is. Yeah. So listen, Roy, and listen with the purpose of understanding what we are saying. You might disagree with it, but at least listen to us and listen to what we are saying. Why did he overturn the decision of the BEC? The reasons are there. When you go, who says the board did not look at it? Whoever said that? Because when you cancel a tender in this place, the one that has gone to the board, it goes to the board. If the board has approved, it goes to the board. You give reasons why you cancel a tender. You don't just wake up tomorrow and say, hey, I am canceling a tender. This is the problem of not understanding government and then coming and casting aspersions about what we do. You believed what you believed, Roy. You are just disappointed it's not what you thought it was. There's no smoking gun, I've told you. This is rehashing the so-called whistleblowers dossier of 2021. Why don't you bring it on? I hired my own cousin on my far left here. Apparently she's my cousin in another dossier. So I'm unperturbed by that. I'm unperturbed by that. So I bring myself here and then I want to answer questions, but it must be questions of substance and on the matter that I brought myself here to come and say. And please listen with a view to understand what I'm saying. We will share all these documents with you. You will read them for yourself. I've shown you all these things that are there, as it were. So I've also explained why and what gives me the power to overrule a BEC or BAC. I've told you, I've said there is even standard operating procedures that tells you the approver, if he doesn't approve, this is what happens. So it would be one way, it will be approved, then goes ahead. It doesn't work like that. Because ultimately I must apply my mind to what is sitting in front of me. And I've got all those powers until they're taken away. For now I have them, and I'll exercise them to the fullest, because when it comes to people asking a question, we sit here, we have got this kind of a building, why are people in it? I'm the one that must now ultimately account, as it were. So I'm not going to sit here and say people send it to me and I didn't apply my mind. You'll write another headline. Letsualo does not apply himself. So I'm clear, Roy. You can write all you want. I know others will be writing open letters to the minister, insulting me. Let it happen, but I will never let these people bully me. I will never, and I've said it again. I hate bullies. When they are racist, I get more enraged. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there are no further questions on the floor, I think this is the right time to conclude. Collins, I believe one or two of them will want to do sound bites. Let's make it quick. It's been a long press briefing, but we thank you very much for your attendance, and to those who attended virtually as well, we thank you.